It all started with a game named the League of Infinity. In a preliminary match, our MC, in fact his game character, is doing a 1 vs 5. Our MC, named Choi Kangen, titled Lucifer, boldly jumped into the enemy territory alone. Everyone believes that it would be difficult to fight off, no matter how strong you are or how skilled you are. Doing a 1v5 clutch is insane. The other players underestimate Kangen, saying that he is crazy to even try to defeat them alone. Lucifer charges straight, in front of the knight, which is playing the tank role of the enemy team. The knight tries to attack with his hammer, but Kangen uses a simple punch and strongly goes for the first kill. Another player tries to attack Lucifer from the back, but he dodges it swiftly and instantly announces his double kill. With these, 2 of the players of the enemy team were killed. But it seems like the 3 remaining players had immediately begun their counterattack. Kangen uses the skill of the character and instantly goes for the 3rd kill as if he is teleported. He is showing some incredible gameplay using his character S skill to its max. He jumps upwards and uses his special finishing move, which shatters the ground, and with that, 5 of the players were defeated. This showcase of fantastic kills is truly unfathomable. 3 years later, in the esports stadium, something unexpected happened. If you want to know what happened to this guy wearing a cup and why is he so pissed off, then we need to look back to the event which occurred 3 years ago. The globally popular virtual reality AOS game League of Infinity. Choi Kangen, who is League of Infinity's #1 world ranking player. 3 years ago, on his way back home after winning the 2nd place in World Championship, unfortunately got into a car accident and was transferred to the hospital. It was just a mild brain hemorrhage, so there was no major concern. But because of that accident, his life took a major turn, and he has ended up falling into an abyss. After that incident, he has lost countless times, and even his teammates blamed him for losing. Everybody told him to quit, and all of them announced that they can't play with Kangen anymore. Even the team manager told Kangen to retire. Instead, he will keep the news of Kangen's body being damaged a secret. Presently, he leaves the team with his suitcase and firmly stands in front of a railing. He sighs as he says that he is pathetic, because he is still not able to get over his disease. But he also wants to play the game again. Then suddenly on the railing he sees something written. He reads, "God loves you." He laughs out of frustration. He says that if God really exists, then saying that he loves Kangen while giving him this shitty life is nothing but a mockery. He curses the God with anger, and suddenly a truck crashes with him. After some time, an immense red ray of light wakes him up, and he finds himself in an unknown, unfamiliar place. He feels strange and wonders whether it's the afterlife. Surprisingly, he hears a voice from his back saying that this place may or may not be the afterlife. He looks back to see who is there and discovers a mysterious man wearing a mask. Choi Kangen. "Don't you want to start a new life?" the man asks. Kangen blurts out, demanding to know the identity of the person who kidnapped him. The man replies that this isn't kidnapping because kidnapping only applies if the person is alive. Kangen seems rather confused after hearing this, so the man explains that Choi Kangen is already dead. The man says that he killed Kangen and brought him here. Kangen fiercely asks the man why he is doing this and what he wants from Kangen. The masked man replies that it's simply because he is one of Choi Kangen's fans. Nothing, literally nothing this man is saying makes any sense to Kangen, who is totally flabbergasted. The mysterious man explains that he loves gaming, especially League of Infinity. He watched every game that happened on Earth without missing any, and he thinks Choi Kangen is the best pro gamer out there. Kangen questions the man whether he really wants somebody to believe this trash-talking. The man replies that he never asked him to believe that. He says that the most important thing is that Kangen is going to receive a favor from him. With a snap of a finger, we see the scenes of the World Championship of League of Infinity, which happened 3 years ago. The man says that he is going to give Kangen a second chance to prove himself. Upon seeing the scene on a screen, Kangen asks, "What is this?" The masked man replies, "It is the timeline of 3 years ago, the event of the World Championship, where Kangen finished second, and also the beginning of his demise. Don't you want to return to that time again and start everything all over again? By achieving the World Championship that you couldn't get 3 years ago? Do you want to rewrite your life?" The man asks coldly and tells Kangen to choose his course of life. Countless questions and theories are weighing on Kangen's mind, but the far most important thing is that if he can start his life again, he will gladly do it in a heartbeat. He repeats that he will do it and fix his damned life. He states that he doesn't care whether he is in front of a god or the evil, he just wants to restart his life. The man claps, saying, "Bravo, bravo." The man states that Kangen is indeed the best maestro he has chosen. He tells Kangen to go back to that world championship 3 years ago and bag the trophy, and he must reborn as the best player ever. Lastly, he says that he will watch over Choi Kangen, so he must become the best player. Presently, we hear someone counting 5, 4 to 1. Kangen looks around and notices that he really came back. Upon regressing 3 years back, he realizes that the person with the mask was telling the truth. Kangen's opponent teases him, asking him whether he is scared of facing them. Kangen replies sarcastically that he definitely is scared. Meanwhile, the announcers are saying that TCD, otherwise known as Team Chinese Dragon, Kangen's opponent team had just ban-picked Ouroboros. Ban-pick means choosing a character to prohibit others from being used. Everyone else has finished selecting their character for the last set of the League of Infinity World Championship, except for Kangen. He was the only one left to pick a character. Our MC has a lot of fans in the stand, and we spot a girl with a banner with Kangen's game username, Lucifer, as she is cheering for him. Kangen's teammate screams at Kangen as he is taking a long time to choose a character and tells him to stop blanking out and choose quickly. Meanwhile, the game commentators also announce that Kangen is the last player left to pick a character. He remembers the last when he played, he had picked a character named Draco, which is Kangen's main character, without knowing what TCD had on their plate. So he thinks to himself about the character he will choose this time. The commentators discuss what his choice might be, as one of them says Kangen might pick Draco because that is his main character, and another commentator says that he might choose another character named Banshee if he does not pick Draco, but he also says that Draco is the best fit for Kangen. When Kangen finally chooses his character, his pick surprises everyone, the commentators, his fans, and the girl who was cheering for him from the beginning. He picks a character called Hong Gil-dong, who is perceived as a weak character in the game. The game announcers announce this on the speakers. His teammates scream at him in anger and in confusion for his choice. And even members of the audience speculate as to why he made such a choice to pick a weak character for the final set of the championship. The commentators discuss among themselves, where one of them comments saying he doesn't quite understand Kangen's pick, and the other commentator says whether Kangen made a mistake because of his nervousness. The girl who was previously cheering for Kangen also looks disappointed. The crowd says minions would have been better than this. They throw insults at Kangen, saying things like he is crazy and he is forfeiting the game before it even begins, etc. Kangen thinks to himself that he has no time to explain his pick, and he has no choice but to prove it by the end result. Kangen thinks to himself that up until now, Hong Gil-dong is nothing more than just a troll pick, as both of its pick rate and winning percentage is the lowest. But if this character was properly utilized to its true value, it'll become an overpowering character, and that overpowering skill is only known by Kangen. The skills he chooses again surprises everyone. The commentator says that if even the setting pick is a variety show pick, what on earth is going on with Kangen? His teammate swears at him and asks whether he is determined to lose. His opponents make fun of him, saying Kangen has lost his mind, and he made a troll pick because he knew he couldn't win against them, and another opponent member asks whether he thinks he can win if he picks something that no one has ever heard or seen of, and says he is set to be trampled on today. Kangin's teammate threatens him, saying he will kill Kangin if he is messing around this time. Kangin thinks, even without his opponent saying that, he is going to carry the game. The announcers say that even though it is hard to understand, the players have all made their choices and they announce the World Championship Finals Set 5 begin. They all enter a place in the game known as the Immortal Battlefield. Minions have been summoned in the game. The member of the opponent team says that with Kangin acting the way he is, the Slayers, which is Kangin's team, are no longer their match, and he says to his teammates to fight them from the very first and break their momentum. The minions of both the teams clash against each other. The commentators announce that the first player to appear in the midline is the character Gabrielle, played by TCS Xiao Wei. Xiao Wei wonders where Kangin is, when suddenly Kangin attacks Xiao Wei from behind. They exchange blows. Both of them tease each other. Kangin teases Xiao Wei by saying he has improved a lot as he is going into Kangin's territory without any fear. Xiao Wei replies by saying it is funny coming from someone who had just decided to lose from the very beginning, and says whether Kangin thinks he can deal with Xiao Wei using such a trash character. He also says that today is the day when Xiao Wei will take away the position of world's best midliner from Kangin. Kangin replies saying it is all bullshit, and that from this point onwards, Xiao Wei is going to be trampled on by this trashy character. He says he hopes Xiao Wei came wearing diapers, because he is going to make Xiao Wei wet himself. This angers Xiao Wei, and he curses and attacks Kangin, swinging his spear. The announcers say that the curse word said by Xiao Wei is very racist, and he will be faced with a fine and a 30-day suspension because of it. The girl who is cheering for Kangin tells Kangin to kill Xiao Wei. Xiao Wei steps back a little due to all the blows he is receiving from Kangin. Kangin then uses a skill called flying swordsmanship to obliterate all of TCD's minions. Xiao Wei thinks to himself that he made a mistake, just as the commentators announce that Kangin's character has leveled up to level 2. Kangin thinks to himself that from now on, it's the second round, as he attacks Xiao Wei. Xiao Wei gets confused as to how a weak character can do this much damage to him. Their fierce battle goes on, and Xiao Wei uses a skill called Spear of Penetration on Kangin. But it does not work as the name suggests, because the spear is unable to penetrate Kangin in any way. Kangin again attacks Xiao Wei using flying swordsmanship and causes some heavy damage to Xiao Wei, lowering his health bar. He gets shocked to see his strength decrease so much and uses a skill, the turret recall, to escape from Kangin. Xiao Wei curses Kangin, calling him a son of a bitch, and says he will take care of him the next time Xiao Wei sees him. But as he is saying this, suddenly a bolt of lightning falls behind Xiao Wei, and he turns around to see it is Kangin, who has used Tower Dive from level 2. The commentators' jaws drop at this move as they wonder whether the skill Kangin has just used is the teleportation skill that lets a player appear anywhere. Kangin smirks and says to Xiao Wei whether he thinks Kangin can't catch Xiao Wei if he runs away. Xiao Wei calls Kangin a crazy bastard. The commentators say that this move is just like him, as once he sets his sights on a target, he never lets go, but he is still underleveled to dive into enemy territory. Xiao Wei says that trying a tower dive at level 2 is basically suicide. Kangin goes wild to get the first kill in the game. Xiao Wei shoots Kangin with some turret shots while calling him an idiot. This causes Kangin to fly backwards. Xiao Wei uses a skill called Holy Spear of Piercing to attack Kangin, while saying that this is what he gets for charging the tower at level 2. Kangin blocks the attack with a skill called East to West, Unstoppable, while saying, "Didn't I say I came here to get you?" He blocks the attack and gets close to Xiao Wei and attacks him, riddling him with blade strikes using a skill called Heavenly Sword Technique. When he uses this technique, he manages to kill Xiao Wei and gets first blood of the game. The commentators gasp at this, and the crowd goes wild, and the girl who was cheering for Kangin cheers harder. Announcements ring out saying Lucifer, aka Kangin, scored the first kill of the game. He managed to kill Xiao Wei, but he has barely any health left to survive the turret's attacks. But Kangen does not look worried, but instead smiles. The turret hits him and he is no longer visible, so the announcers assume Kangen died, and they say he would have been fine if he had one more bar of health, and that in the end it turned into a trade-off, but it's all good, as he got first blood and picked up 500 gold, so the early game momentum goes to Slayer's Kangen's team. But suddenly, Kangen appears saying that was not enough to kill him. His opponent gets shocked as to why he didn't get the kill bonus of 300 gold. The announcers announce that Kangen is still alive as they get surprised. His opponent Zhao Wei gets angry and frustrated at this and says, "Why Kangen isn't dead already?" Kangen survived because of his mastery pick, Victory's Roar, which gives the player 1 second of invincibility, and that is why he survived the turret's last hit. He uses his character's power to teleport using a blue flame in a cool way, saying, "See ya, suckers." The crowd and the girl cheering for him go wild at this gesture, and they give him compliments and cheer for him. Meanwhile, in real life, Kangen's teammate apologizes for his behavior with him before, and Kangen says he has nothing to be sorry about, but rather Kangen himself should be sorry for surprising his teammates with that surprise pick. In order to throw TCD off, he had to keep it a secret from even his own team. He tells his teammate to play the game like usual, and he will carry the game. His teammates all show their trust in him as they obey his words and support him. Zhao Wei gets jealous and says he survived due to pure luck. Zhao Wei kills a minion, when suddenly Kangen is back again to fight with him. The commentator in unison say Kangen is heading to mid again, sweeping up some stray minions along the way and unlocking his W skill, which is called clone technique. So, he goes in front of Zhao Wei and clones himself, and he and all his clones attack Zhao Wei at the same time, riddling him with slashes, relentlessly attacking and pummeling Zhao Wei into the ground. Zhao Wei backs up and says what's with all the damage Kangen is inflicting upon him. Kangen teases Zhao Wei, saying, "Why are you backing up? Aren't you the mid laner? Not gonna farm those minions? No XP or gold?" Zhao Wei gets extremely frustrated, but he handles his cool and backs off as he thinks to himself that if he tries to go in now, he would just be handing Kangen a free kill. Kangen once again secures the mid lane, and the commentators announce this. He places an item called a ward, which is a tool to reveal hidden enemies. Meanwhile, the moment Zhao Wei backs up, TCD's jungler and support are setting up for an ambush on Slayers, but as Kangen had placed down a ward, he can see all their moves. Zhao Wei initiates a surprise attack on Kangen, which he barely manages to dodge. Zhao Wei says, this time he is going to smash Kangen's head in. Kangen asks, whose head does he think he is smashing? Zhao Wei says Kangen is already caught in his trap. Kangen says Zhao Wei even sneaked into an enemy's lane to launch a surprise attack, just to catch Kangen, and no matter where he tries to escape, it will be 3 versus 1, so Zhao Wei will be on Kangen's tail no matter what. Zhao Wei, while attacking Kangen, says there's no escape for him. Kangen replies saying, Zhao Wei should have healed up a bit more before coming for Kangen, as Kangen is on fire right now as he activates a passive skill known as Instant Kill. He strikes down Zhao Wei with a massive burst, boosted by his skill effect, and receives 300 bonus points. But the jungler is targeting Kangen, but Kangen disappears using a skill called Desperate Strike, so the jungler misses his attack. He reappears behind TCD's support and sarcastically says, "Care for a little chat? Just the two of us?" And he kills the support instantly. Kangen single-handedly manages to crush the ambush from 3 TCD players by obtaining a double kill. Kangen says he can see all of his opponent's moves like the back of his hand. Meanwhile, the person with the mask who sent Kangen back to the past is watching Kangen through a glass globe and says Kangen really plays like a demon, and his story shouldn't end this easily, as a hero's tale needs a touch of danger. As Kangen killed the jungler and the support of TCD, the Slayers team uses the chance to go after the lone marksman from TCD. The sniper in Slayers team takes down the marksman, and they extend their lead to 4-0. One of Kangen's teammates compliment him on his excellent gameplay as he wiped out a 3 versus 1 with a double kill and no deaths, but Kangen tells them not to make such a big deal out of it, and he had already told them he would carry the game. However, Kangen's other teammates are not taking as big as of a liking to him. The guy in the mask notices this. Kangen again goes to attack Zhao Wei, and Zhao Wei calls him a crazy jerk and asks him why he is coming after Zhao Wei again and again. Kangen replies he has always been about beating down one target at a time. Zhao Wei attacks multiple times with his spear, but Kangen dodges it every time. Zhao Wei screams at Kangen to get lost, to which Kangen replies saying, he will go, but only after killing Xiao Wei 10 times. He only has to kill Xiao Wei 8 more times to complete his goal. He uses a skill called Justice, served to take down Xiao Wei once again. He obtains 5 kills solo. The crowd goes into a frenzy at this. Kangin and another teammate of his are together in front of an enemy. Kangin asks his teammate whether he trusts Kangin. His teammate says why Kangen is asking this all of a sudden. Meanwhile, his other teammates get jealous of Kangen as they say Kangen is hogging all the glory, and if they end up doing nothing, what will happen to them later? They think that they will be left in the dust, and they will be stuck doing whatever Kangen says, and he might even get them kicked off the team. So they decide to disobey Kangen and attack TCD, who is all over the place now, and they attack TCD without Kangen. The commentators get shocked as they attack without a plan. They all get killed almost instantly. Xiao Wei says they threw the game Kangen had practically won for them. Kangen gets very disappointed at this, as this is the possible turning point for TCD and the Slayer's loss. Kangen's teammates apologize to Kangen for their mistake. Kangen gets very angry and tells them to shut up while calling them trolling idiots, and says he was a fool for trusting them. Kangen gets really angry and absolutely destroys them using insults. The power of words are very underrated. Kangen tells them that the minute he stumbled, they all jumped at the chance to tear Kangen down. He calls them a bunch of washed-up nobodies and tells them to get out if they are only going to drag Kangen down. He specifically criticizes one of his teammates, whose name is Taisik, and tells him he tried to take Kangen down out of pure jealousy. Kangen says he knew what kind of people they all were, but he held on to the hope that maybe, just maybe, things would change. But now all hope is gone, and he is done playing with them all and even playing this game. He uses his skill, east to west, unstoppable. Seizing this opportunity, TCD takes the chance and starts the Bahamut raid. Bahamut is a monster who can be taken down by either team, and that team will get massive experience, gold buffs, and items. TCD risks it all as an effort to pull off a comeback. Kangen alone goes against 5 of TCD's players. Kangen takes down one of TCD's players whose name is TCD Ryu and says all this is getting old and now is the time to end it all. Some people in the audience speculate that even Kangen cannot handle a 5 versus 1, well, actually 4 versus 1, as he already took down one of the members. The girl who was cheering for Kangen hears this and says that the unstoppable Lucifer always wins while hyping up the audience. Lucifer is Kangen's gamer tag. As Kangen attacks them, Xiao Wei tells his teammates to forget killing Bahamut and to take down Kangen first. They all attacks Kangen at once, but Kangen uses cloning technique to produce multiple clones of himself. Each of his clones take on each member of TCD. He decides to take on the target with the lowest health, which is the marksman of TCD. He uses his passive skill, called Instant Kill, and slashes the marksman. He gets attacked by another player, but he uses another sword slash to kill both the marksman and the other player. He then says that now it is the jungler's turn. Only Xiao Wei and the jungler remain at this point. Xiao Wei says this is the end and he is going to crush Kangen for good this time. Kangen tells them not to get too cocky even though it is a 2 versus 1 scenario, as the one is Kangen himself. As he says this, suddenly, Bahamut lands behind Xiao Wei. Xiao Wei turns around in terror to see Bahamut standing tall behind him. "You bugs think you can just ignore me and fight among yourselves?" Bahamut speaks from behind as he roars. Bahamut says that every last one of them will become dead meat today for disturbing him. Meanwhile, Lucifer smiles, thinking that the enemy team is a fool for believing that he would take a 1 versus 5 without any plans. He says that the TCD players were done for from the moment they woke up Bahamut. Taking advantage of Bahamut's chaos, Kangen finishes off the jungler with a quadra kill. Xiaowei realizes that Kangen was planning to use Bahamut as a bait from the very beginning. Kangen says that Xiaowei shouldn't die in Bahamut's hand. Instead, he should help Kangen to receive his fantastic kill. Xiaowei drops down his weapon surrendering, praising Kangen by saying that he is worthy of the title Monster. Lastly, before getting killed, Xiaowei states that the victory goes to the team Slayers. Lucifer disagrees by saying that the winner isn't the team Slayers, it's him, one and only him. With TCD's surrender, the game is over. The winners of the World Championship Finals are the Slayers. Now the award ceremony of First League of Infinity World Championship will begin. One of the teammates of Lucifer tries to grab the trophy, but Kangen snatches it away, saying that this trophy is his, and nobody should think about touching it. Then, the MVP of the tournament, Choi Kangin, proudly lifts the Immortal Cup. This is just the start of something new for Kangin, so he tells the Golden Mask to get ready, because he will see something even better next time. The Golden Mask guy was watching Kangin's match from above. Meanwhile, a lady named Sybil enters, calling him her brother. Sybil tells her brother that she always supported his decisions and never doubted him, but picking that guy named Choi Kangin, she can't bring herself to support this decision. She conveys that Kangin is weak. He couldn't even handle a low-level mercenary. The Golden Mask explains that Choi Kangin is a man with potential, but he guesses Sybil just can't see it for the time being. After hearing this, Sybil shouts, saying that she trusts her brother's judgment. But this is too risky. If you're going to take a risk, wouldn't it make more sense to bring in a powerhouse from another dimension? Like the Iron Blood Emperor, for example? The Golden asks, which makes Sybil flinch for a moment and grabs her attention as if she herself was about to say that. The mask guy explains that the Iron Blood Emperor is a hero who's defended both Earth and Pangaea 7 times over. The ultimate demigod and ruler, someone Choi Kangin couldn't even compare to right now. But bringing him here isn't just risky, it's practically inviting disaster. But why? Couldn't we get his cooperation if we offered him what he wants? Sybil questions abruptly. Her brother replies that they can't give the Emperor whatever he wants because the Emperor has created his own world. So what could a person who has created his own world would want? Money, fame, and power. The Emperor has achieved all of it. Lastly, they just have this world to offer. Were you thinking of handing over this world to the Emperor, my dear sister? The guy asks. More importantly, the Golden Mask says that even if they summon them, all the power holders wouldn't move according to their plans. After understanding the situations and consequences, Sybil apologies to her brother. The Golden Mask explains that the reason he chose Choi Kangin is because Kangin is different. He's young, he's got ambition, he wants to win and keep winning to reach the top, and because he's trying to rebuild his life after hitting rock bottom, he'll follow their lead without questions. On Earth, on the stage of the World Championship, Kangin says thank you for all the support he has got so far. Moreover, he is happy to stand here as the victor. He says that he has an important announcement to make. He announces that as of today, he is leaving the Slayers team. This announcement shocked everyone. What did he just say? All of them shout at the same time as they are totally flabbergasted. After the end of the tournament, the coach of the Slayers shouts at Kangin for creating such a huge scene on the stage of the World Championship. He says that Kangin should have talked with him first before making this decision. He says that he knows Kangin is not happy with how things are going on the team, but he doesn't have any right to do things like this either. Kongan replies that there were countless times when he tried to talk with the coach, but the coach always ignored him, so this time he ignored the coach. The coach's attitude and countenance takes a 180-degree after realizing the fact that Team Slayer may lose his one and only ace player. So he decides to become soft and offers to double Kongan's salary, and he will get the championship bonus. In addition, the coach will let him take charge of the team rebuild. "Do you have any idea how much it'll cost you if you leave now?" the coach shouts, and his attitude again changes. Kongan replies that the coach can take all the bonus and prize money of the World Championship, and that should cover the cost. The coach gets furious as he says that he will not let Kongan join any other teams with his connections, and he will make sure that Kongan never gets to play pro again. The moment Kongan is about to burst into anger, the gate opens and a lady enters. After entering, she states that she will like to have a chat with Mr. Choi, also known as Lucifer I World Championship of League of Infinity. Kongan perceives that the woman standing in front of him must be a VIP as she entered the player's waiting room as if it was nothing. The coach calls this woman the chairwoman. "Chairwoman?" Kongan repeats. The coach shouts at Choi, telling him to greet the chairwoman properly. The coach introduces that she's the chairwoman of Balboa Games, the company that created the League of Infinity, and she is known as Eva Grinnell. Eva ignores the coach as she says that it's enough with the formality. She says that she would like to have a conversation with Mr. Choi for a moment. Kongan firmly declines, saying that he is busy. Eva Grinnell smiles as she expected that it will go like this, since she is talking with the world champion. She states that they are arranging a private plane for Kongan to return to Korea immediately, and it's just for him. Moreover, she says that until he arrives in Korea, he will have VIP services, including bodyguards. With that, he won't be interrupted by other people and be able to travel safely and comfortably until he lands, so she tells him that she will provide him with all of these facilities if he agrees to spare just 5 minutes. These privileges successfully grab Kongan's attention, as he thinks that if the chairwoman and really did what she said, then he believes he won't be hit by that car again. After thinking deeply about it, he decides to agree, and they both sit on the sofa with a cup of tea. Eva Grinnell explains that the reason she asked for a meeting with Mr. Choi Kongan was because of that bombshell announcement he made at the prizing ceremony. While lifting the cup, Kongan asks whether he made a huge fuss at the prizing ceremony. Eva smiles as she speaks that the prestigious title of the winner of the first ever world championship to this game, but then that person is announcing his departure from the team. At the prizing ceremony is not an ordinary thing to happen. So as a chairwoman, it is her duty to grab and ask what Kongan is going to do from now on. Eva says that for someone who had just ascended to the top of the world, then retired immediately after, is an absurd thing to do, unless that person is crazy, of course. But after some thoughts, she realizes that Kongan hasn't signed any contract with another team in advance as well. She asks whether Kongan is thinking of forming his own team. In addition, she says that she assumes that Kongan had thought about doing this for a long time. Choi Kongan expected that as a chairwoman of a company. She can literally see through things. He thinks that he couldn't achieve his dream before his regression, but he can now. He decides that with those 4 people in his mind, he can definitely form the strongest team ever. He says that he is going to form his own team, and he has already decided on the members to recruit. Moreso, he states that League of Infinity is just starting, and from now on, there will be rookies with scary talents joining in as well, but he wants to build a strong team with strong skills. As a defending champion, he doesn't think he can just give up that spot. The chairwoman Eva Grinnell was completely dazzled while listening to Kongan's point of view. Eva praises player Choi Kongan by saying that he is brimming with the passion of a champion, although she is not sure if that passion is a professional passion or just something to just satisfy Kongan's competitive spirit and fighting desire. Eva thanks Kongan for lending his precious time. She tells him not to worry about any problems regarding the breach of contract. She will address the penalty issue with Balboa Games, but she will also ensure that Kangin wouldn't face any setbacks in the future. Lastly, Eva walks while saying that she will only watch over Kangin without interfering. That is to see how long he will be able to save that Lucifer title. Kangin thinks that it doesn't matter whether she is a spectator or a gladiator slave from the Colosseum because he will make full use of what he has. He is determined not to repeat that damned life again. Suddenly, some shadows began to appear from beneath the ground and start to grab him. He wonders where he is going this time around. Was going back to the past not enough of a fantasy? He asks. He lands on a plain grass field, also known as a battle arena, and discovers an orc in front of him. As Kangin is trying to fathom the situation, the orc immediately tries to attack with the axe. Kangin makes a run to buy some time, and surprisingly enough, an information window pops up in front of his face. It's a regular quest. The quest tells him to defeat the orc gladiator named Guntrak. It also states that this quest's difficulty level is low, and he will get 300 points of experience, but the time limit is only 30 minutes. Kangin says that he is going to die, for real this time. The audience cheers for the orc and tells Guntrak to kill the skinny human. The orc named Guntrak tells Kangin to fight instead of running away like a rat. Guntrak swings his axe towards Kangin, but Kangin dodges it successfully. Guntrak tells Kangin that he has no gladiator's pride. The reason why Kangin is here fighting the orc is because of the golden mask. The golden mask, while watching the match, states that Kangin's heroic tale won't be so boring, and this is the price he has to pay in order to go to his past. Guntrak calls Kangin useless, while the audience tells the orc to kill the human again. They shout that this human is worth nothing since he only runs away. After hearing all of the audience's cruises, Kangin gets extremely furious and fearless. He tells the watcher that they have no right to judge his worth. Some past memories come into Kangin's mind. Kangin shouts that he has been struggling in despair and was trying to live a proper life after getting a miraculous opportunity. So after hearing people calling him and his precious life useless, he can't take it any longer and decides to fight. He states that the one who is going to die here is not him but the orc, while awakening the rune of transcendence online. The golden mask says that it's time for Choi Kangin to finally wake up. Kangin rushes forward with a sword, and his chakra gets activated. Suddenly, an information pops up that level 30 of Imperial swordsmanship skill is now unlocked. Immediately, many swordsmanship skills unfold in his mind. He decides to try these for once and takes a stand. He starts to swing his sword like a professional while dodging the orc's attack. Finally, Kangin's sword reaches the orc's body, more precisely the left hand of Guntrak. The audience recognizes this swordplay style, and they are the flabbergasted to witness that it's the official Imperial swordsmanship. They wonder whether Kangin was an Imperial knight. Kangin gets puzzled while listening to the watchers, since he has never heard anything about the Imperial swordsmanship. Guntrak says that he didn't know that Kangin had been hiding his skills from the beginning. The orc gets enraged to know that he was fooled by a measly human. He runs towards Kangin, and this time he is determined to make sure he kills the human. Guntrak starts to throw many punches at Kangin, but Kangin swiftly dodges all of these as if it's nothing. He perceives that the orc's movements are so simple, and the most advantageous thing is that the orc is not equipped with any weapons. He predicts that he can win this if he plays well. Guntrak grabs Kangin by the shoulder and gives a headbutt. Kangin couldn't shake it off because the orc's strength is superior to his. Then Guntrak grabs Kangin's neck and makes it hard for him to breathe. Kangin starts to lose his senses and wonders whether this is the end for him. Meanwhile, the golden mask's voice reaches Kangin's ears. "Are you going to end it like this? I gave you a chance, but you're so pathetic, are you? If you die here, then who will take care of your family?" the golden mask asks. These questions wake Kangin up. He says that he can't die here for his mom and his little sister. His chakra of destruction activated, which increases his strength. He jumps and delivers a headbutt to the orc with immense strength, which makes Guntrack fall to the ground. Kangen starts to walk towards the orc, telling him that he has messed with the wrong person. He sits above Guntrack and delivers countless punches. Finally, the quest is clear, and he receives 300 experience points. In addition, he reaches level 2, and his stat points increase by 10 points. Kangen smiles as he thinks that it's exactly like a game because it has quests, experience points, and level ups. Suddenly, he hears a voice. The golden mask appears, telling him that he has done a great job, since he passed the first test successfully. Kangen gets extremely angry. Test? What does that mean? You've already killed me up like how you wanted, and now you're playing me like this, he asks furiously. The golden mask replies that the human is misunderstanding the things, and it's definitely not the case here. The golden mask briefly explains that it's the price he has to pay for restarting his life as new, and surprisingly Kangen had remarkably awakened. The mask man suggests that it will be good for Kangen not to neglect his muscle training, since the real battle awaits him in the next summon. What do you mean by next summon? Choi asks. The golden mask gives Kangen a reminder, saying that the more stronger he will get, the more hope there is for his mother. Lastly, he says that he will summon Kangen after a month. Kangen returns to the earth with all his wounds healed. He notices that all traces from the previous fight have been healed like it was a dream, but he knows for sure it was real as he looks at the window before him. At that moment, bodyguard Kim Do-jin comes running. He says that he has been looking for Kangen for a while since he has finally finished checking in, sir. Choi Kangen's flight back to Korea. But what are you doing over here, sir? He asks. Kangen replies that he was just thinking of something. Then, after some time, he takes a private flight to Korea. While sitting on the plane, he wonders what the hell does the golden mask actually want from him by suddenly sending him to a weird place and making him work as a gladiator in the Colosseum. He sighs as he concludes that he has no choice but to endure it for the time being. He looks at the information window and sees that 29 days, 20 hours, 59 minutes, and 2 seconds are left until the next summon. He doesn't like this kind of thing. He lands in Korea and rides an exclusive car along with 3 bodyguards for his safety. It's said that your home is near the Nakseongdae station, so should I put it into the navigation? One of the bodyguards asks. Kangen replies saying no because he has to go to Yuan University Hospital. After reaching the hospital, Kim Do-jin asks for Kangen's autograph because his son is a big fan of Lucifer. Kangen gives the autograph, and Do-jin shows his utmost gratitude towards Kangen. Kim Do-jin states that he was barely able to play the role of dad for his son, so he says that he would like to ask whether this shirt can be used to certify for Kangen's fan club. Lastly, Kangen replies by saying of course and enters the hospital. At the hospital, he meets his sister named Miho, who is unconscious. Miho, I won. Did you see it? Didn't the caregiver turn on the TV for you? He asks while making a sad smile. Some previous memories come into Kangen's mind. His sister calling him brother in a cute way, and the day of the fire incident when he was not allowed to go closer to the building to save his family. Then he realizes that he has made a grave mistake by regressing to 3 years back just to win the world championship. He shouts out of regret saying that he was dumb. He should have gone back to the day of that accident 5 years ago. He calls himself foolish and selfish. He holds his sister's hand and notices the same light, the one that flowed through his body while in the Colosseum. Then he receives a mail from the golden mask. The mail goes like this. To my dear persona, Choi Kangen. Don't blame yourself. The reason why you weren't able to think about your family was because I pushed you to. It's not because you're a selfish person. Choi Kangen, you more than anyone else I've known of cherish and love your family the most. The golden mask says that Kangen now has the omnipotent energy, named the chakra. Kangen wonders whether the golden mask is referring to this light. The masked man states that this energy is enough to treat his mother and little sister. This is the best gift that he can give to Kangin, and he hopes with the chakra, Kangin will be able to treat his sister. Kangin thinks that if this power has the energy to treat his sister, then there's no reason for him to hesitate. He starts to treat his sister with chakra. In the meantime, a nurse walks through the corridor of the hospital where Kangin's sister is admitted. She is frustrated at someone named Dr. Kim, who probably said something mean to her. She curses Dr. Kim, saying he thinks of the nurse as emotional trash. She reaches Kangin's sister's room and knocks on the door while announcing she is entering the room. Although no one is probably listening, she thinks to herself. She enters the room, and what she sees next makes her drop the tray she has in her hand. She sees Kangin using some kind of magic on his sister. Kangin uses healing chakra, which heals wounds, regenerates damaged skin cells, nerve cells, and even skin tissue, and is the highest among healing abilities. Using this consumes 5 chakra per second, and the chakra consumption increases according to healing amount. Using any chakra consumes a lot of stamina, so as he is using this healing chakra, Kangin feels like he is running a 100 meters speed run. The nurse gets shocked at the sight she saw in the room. Kangin is constantly using up chakra and feels as if he is almost at the limit, but decides to keep going. His sister wakes up and calls out for Kangin, calling him Appa. They both hug each other. Meanwhile, the nurse is still standing at the door and gets very confused at what happened. The doctor examines Miho, Kangin's sister, and says she had a miraculous recovery. He said that Miho's destroyed brain and nerve cells were regenerated on their own, which is something miraculously beyond what modern medicine can explain. The nurse who had seen Kangin use the chakra tried to express herself to others, but no one believed her even if she told them about it. Kangin says to himself that he was able to heal his little sister using his strength. But total cure will not be possible at the level he is at. If he levels up, he will be a lot stronger than how strong he is now, and he will be able to cure both his sister and his mom. Kangin takes Miho outside in a wheelchair. Miho thanks Kangin and says he must have been through a lot in all this time. Kangin says it's okay, and he says to Miho that he will make sure to cure Miho and their mom, and then they will be able to reunite AMD Live happily together again. Miho says she is okay with that, and after that she questions Kangin what he will do now as she heard that Kangin had left his team. Kangin replies, saying he is going to form his own team, so he is currently looking for someone to help. He says, "A team isn't just made up of players. First of all, in order to solidify the team's foundation, a manager is needed, and it has to be a competent manager that will do anything necessary for the team, such as promotion activities as well as attracting sponsors." Suddenly, someone screams out, "So you're here!" It is the nurse. She screams, saying, "I'll definitely have to find out the answer today. Mr. Choi Kangin, tell me quickly, what was that magic you used from your own mouth?" Ever since she had seen Kangin use the chakra, she had been bothering Kangin in a similar way. She tells Kangin to hurry up and tell her, and tells him to stop thinking about running away from the matter again. Kangin acts, saying what on earth the nurse is talking about, and says she reads fantasy novels or webtoons a little too much to believe in magic, and says Kangin is just an ordinary pro gamer. The nurse gets frustrated and asks whether he is going to keep on doing the same thing, changing the topic. She then says that her brother is an esport team's coach, and says whether Kangin has ever heard of Lee Haekol. Kangin gets shocked to hear the name. The nurse then says that since Kangin said he is a pro gamer, she will find out his real identity through her brother. Kangin goes close to the nurse and reiterates the nurse's words, asking her whether she really said Lee Haekol is her brother. The nurse nervously asks why he is like this. Kangin tells her he wants to meet Lee Haekol and tells her to deliver this message to him. In the next scene, Kangin is sitting in a cafe. A man enters the cafe and exclaims whether player Kangin is present in the cafe. Kangin signs back to the man, signaling him to his table. The man goes up to the table and apologizes to Kangen for being late. Kangen says it is fine. They both shake hands, and the man, Lee Haekul, says he has heard about Kangen a lot from his little sister, the nurse, and once again apologizes for being late. Kangen introduces himself saying he is Choi Kangen and says he is pretty sure Lee is quite busy as he is a coach. Lee slightly smiles and says he is not sure someone who tore their team apart would be considered a coach, referring to himself. He then asks why Kangen had asked to meet him. Kangen says Lee Haekul is terrible at anything related to games, like understanding the game itself, discovering talented players, or training them. But his true worth is in the management. After the continuous dismissal, he joined a team called Seagulls as their team manager and had an agreement with the local government and developed them into a community club with a clubhouse and a youth system. They even turned into a notorious team with their own domed stadium. Lee Haekul gets confused to what Kangen means. So, Kangen says he will get straight to the point and says he can create a team he has sketched and asks Lee Haekul whether he would like to create a community esports club with him. Kangen slams his coffee cup on the table and aggressively asks Lee whether it is really possible to form the community club. Lee replies saying, in his point of view, it is truly possible, and asks Kangen to calm down and take a seat. Lee says he also thought about an esports community club, but he didn't know Kangen would be the one to bring it up. He gets nervous and says he is very bad as a coach, so why is Kangen asking him? Kangen says, yes, to be brutally honest, Lee absolutely doesn't have anything that it takes to be a professional gaming team coach. He doesn't even have the eye for games, and the same goes for the players. But Kangen is not expecting that from Lee. Front. Kangen is expecting Lee's front's capability, such as financial management, marketing, sponsorship arrangements, schedule planning, media management, and such. It's about Lee's ability to manage the team. How am I supposed to? Lee asks Kangen. Kangen replies saying, you can do it. No, I believe you're the only one who can do that. While motivating Lee, Kangen says he can finally create the team he wished for if Lee joins, so he truly hopes Lee joins him. Lee is in tears hearing all these words regarding his capabilities and gets extremely motivated. He drinks his coffee in one go and slams the cup on the table and screams, saying he will join and will take the position Kangen is offering. After that, we cut to a scene where Lee is laying on a couch with a few bottles of alcohol lying beside him. He wakes up and thinks that all the things he saw with Kangen was just a dream. He cries and says of course it was a dream, as it is utterly ridiculous for someone like Kangen Choi to ask him to front for his team. He covers his eyes as sunlight suddenly falls on his eyes. The light fell on his eyes as Kangen had removed the curtain from the window and asks Lee whether he is up, calling Lee Hyung. Lee gets confused as to why Kangen is calling him Hyung and asks where they are. Kangen asks what Lee is so surprised about and that they are at Kangen's house. Kangen says that after they got kicked from the cafe, they continued their talks in Kangen's house and had some drinks. Lee persistently forced Kangen to drink, and it was Lee himself who had told Kangen to call him Hyung, which means older brother. Lee apologizes, saying he was happy, which led to all this happening. Kangen says it's okay, as they are going to form a team together in the future anyways, and it's true that Lee is his Hyung. Kangen is looking at something on a tablet, and Lee asks him what he is looking at. Kangen says he is watching the gameplay of the first candidate to recruit. Lee asks who it is. He says it isn't even a pro match which he is watching. Kangen says it is a live stream on Paprika TV, and the person is yet to make his debut as a pro yet. Kangen says the person's skills are okay, but he's a bastard that always brings trouble. The player's name is Gosu. We see a fight between Gosu and an opponent named Professor. Gosu insults Professor, saying, isn't he the professor who makes some money as BJ? Professor asks whether Gosu is a troll too. He asks whether Gosu wants to keep trolling with the skill that he has and says he is ruining the fun. Gosu cusses the professor and tells him to shut up. He says why does the professor has such a long tongue and asks whether he thinks Gosu is playing the game just to hear his lectures. Gosu makes an obscene gesture at the professor and tells him to stop flapping his gums and tells him to come at Gosu at once. The professor asks why he should fight with Gosu and says he is just going to go for the Nexus, though. Gosu taunts him, saying he guesses the professor is dead scared, as he is only a BJ who is trying to rake in money from clueless kids who think they are good. Therefore, he should just stop babbling, non-stop even when he is not a pro and is just like a beggar begging for money. The professor gets mad and cusses out Gosu. They attack each other and the professor says Gosu is going to lose today while flying towards Gosu. The professor shoots a ray of energy towards Gosu, but Gosu easily dodges the attack and taunts him, asking whether that aim is real or not, as it is very bad. He then asks whether that is the best the professor can do. Gosu then pierces the professor's chest. The professor backs off and Gosu taunts him, saying whether he is already running away. The professor gets critically damaged. Before landing the final blow, Gosu again taunts the professor, saying, "Was that all the power he had, and what kind of a BJ he is, with those mere skills, and advises him to start over again from bronze tier." The professor says Gosu is provoking, but in the end, he is just jealous of the professor for something he can't do. Gosu gets a little taken aback by this. The professor further says, with that personality, Gosu can't even leave the game room, and with those skills he can't even be a pro too, so he resorts to just trolling. He further says Gosu is just a freaking troll who can't even stand up to the real celestial pro gamer like Choi Kangen. Gosu gets extremely angry at this and lands the final blow while telling the professor to shut up, killing the professor. He rants while screaming, saying Choi Kangen is no match for him while constantly yelling profanities. He says he will sweep Kangen and tells him to come fight. Lee and Kangen were watching the fight, and Lee tells Kangen that Gosu's skill is good, but he is quite a troublemaker as a person, and Kangen says he is still the same as before, a troublemaker agreeing with Lee. Kangen says his personality is quite an ass, but Kangen believes in his physical. He might be better than Kangen in that aspect. He says Lee has a friend who runs a detective agency and tells Lee to find out where Gosu lives and bring him to Kangen ASAP. Lee says, "Aren't you being too hasty? Why don't you review other candidates first and then formally contact them?" Kangen replies, saying he can't afford that as the Gosu guy will die sometime later. Meanwhile, Gosu is reading articles about Kangen. He gets angry to notice that these days all the articles are about Kangen. Choi Kangen does this and that, describing every detail. He says that he would have been a world champion if he was there because anyone could have won the world championship. He wonders what's so great about Choi Kangen that they're being hyped up by everyone to this extent. He curses at everyone, saying that everyone looked down on him, while they hyped Choi Kangen. As he is about to lose his cool, he gets a phone call which makes him flinch. He shakily answers the call and speaks in a quavering voice. He quickly answers, saying that yes, he can just go to that place. "It will be the last time, right?" he asks. At Kangen's house, Hacheol asks, "Why's Gosu dying?" In puzzlement, Kangen just realizes that he had made a mistake because he can't go around saying people will die in the future just because he regressed, and he calls himself a fool for it. Hacheol asks whether Gosu will die in an accident, terminal illness, or murder. Kangen replies, while laughing, that it's not the case because when he mentioned dying, he didn't mean that way. He explains that those nerds who often curse in games are bound to quit the game soon and go to study properly, and that's the meaning of dying socially. That was a close call for Kangen because he would be caught up in a fuss if other people found out he had regressed. He thinks that more importantly, he needs to hurry, because before Regression, that Gosu guy died shortly after the World Championship was over. At the hospital, The nurse treats Kangen's mother and tells Miho that her mom is fine. Miho expresses her gratitude as always. She says that now, as she knows that her mom is okay, she will go and meet her brother first. The nurse offers to help, but Miho refuses, saying that, "It's okay. This is rehabilitation training too, so she will use her own strength." The nurse smiles, thinking that Miho is an epitome of a dignified kid. While leaving, Miho thinks that she can't sit still while she receives help from her brother. She, too, has to try to fix things up by herself because she knows her brother is doing his best. So she must also do her best. Inside the gym, Kangen is thinking that he needs to be stronger than now because he needs stamina to survive the gladiator games, to protect his family, and to achieve his dreams. Then, the coach calls him from behind. Heishiol says that they have found Gosu, and it was pretty easy since a former detective looked for him. Heishiol brought all the details about Gosu, like his full name is Young Gosu, and he is from Manhwa High School. He is a junior of Kangen. "So, are you going to look for him right away?" Heishiol asks. Kangen firmly refuses, saying that first of all, he needs to teach this Gosu guy a lesson. Then, they go to the VR capsule room. Kangen tells Heishiol that this is the premium custom-made VR capsule that was recently brought over, so they should test its performance. The coach is amazed to see this top-of-the-line Adrian VR capsule, which is unbelievable to his eyes. He asks, "How much does it cost?" Kangen replies that it's for free. "What? Who would give such an expensive thing for free?" Heishiol questions. Kangen replies that he received it from the Balboa Games as the World Championship MVP privilege. Then, he logs into the League of Infinity and enters the waiting room. The matching starts and the other players start to enter. Kangen logs in with the ID named Overlord, and he is also called the Silent Lord. Gosu has also entered along with some other famous players. Kangen states that Gosu is a provocateur, and people say that being a provocateur is also a form of fame. Gosu notices that his alternate account, ranked 7th in Grandmaster, is getting less attention than that Overlord guy over there, so he decides to talk with the Overlord in order to provoke him. Gosu calls Overlord the Mute Overlord. "I'm going to totally sweep you out, so are you ready?" Gosu asks as he goes near Overlord. Kangen perceives that Gosu is a natural provocateur, and this kind of person always ends up as to be a total nerd in school. Lastly, Gosu announces in front of everyone that the so-called Silent Lord is acting all high and mighty, although being a lower ranked than him. The game begins and all the players enter the immortal battlefield, where they choose the character they want to play with. Kangen chooses a knight character which controls a spear. Upon seeing an opponent, he quickly charges forward and deals the first strike, which announces the first blood. Kangen notices that the opponent's team momentum has been suppressed, and suddenly he senses an attack coming from behind. He turns around to deflect the attack. Gosu appears with his chosen game character, declaring that Overlord is going to die by his hands today. Overlord speaks, telling Gosu that he has come at the right time. Gosu gets surprised to hear that the Overlord, who is also known as the Silent Lord, because he never speaks, but now he is speaking for the first time. Overlord says that he had some matters to deal with, but now he wants to ask a question. "I heard that you went around saying you're stronger than Choi Kangen. Is it true?" He questions. Then, Overlord states that he is also fucking stronger than Choi Kangen, so they should see who is more stronger. Kangen thinks that saying that he is stronger than Choi Kangen won't be a lie because he is Choi Kangen himself. "You and I, do you want to see who's stronger? Troll Gosu?" he asks in order to provoke Gosu, and he is successful because in mere moments, Gosu bursts into anger and rushes to attack. A rushed attack clearly shows that Gosu is pissed. How'd he even climb to Grandmaster with this reckless, emotional play style? Kangen wonders. But soon enough he gives Gosu credits for his good reflexes, because whenever Kangen tries to attack, Gosu dodges it. Upon capturing Kangin, Gosu screams that he will make Kangin a dead meat today. Kangin, on the other hand, confidently speaks that Gosu is all brawn but not brains, while he makes use of a skill named Big Leap, which makes his movement even faster. Kangin launches a critical hit which his opponent can't dodge, but he stops attacking all of a sudden. Kangin tells Gosu to come back when he is all grown up, because right now it's boring to play with him. Gosu can't stand the act of pity and looking down upon, and when he realizes that Kangin is letting him go on purpose, it makes Gosu insane. Gosu enrages and goes to attack Overlord once again. Meanwhile, some watchers are commenting on Gosu and Overlord's fierce battle. Kangin again tells Gosu that he has no brains because he is charging in right onto the debuff zone. Kangin acquires the victory banner and the debuff skill only affects Gosu. Due to that, his stats weaken and once again Overlord delivers a critical blow. Gosu gets angry to see that he is losing to a slow mid laner. "Didn't you say Choi Kangin was trash? If you can't even beat me, what makes you think you can stand a chance against Kangin?" Overlord asks. Moreover, he says that he expected something great from the so-called Gosu, but now it seems it's just a letdown. Kangin notices that Gosu fights like a rage-driven maniac, and it's like as he's fighting with some deep-seated grudge. With Gosu's amazing skill, people will often think that he'd be more composed, but instead he plays this game angrily. Kangin wonders what might be the reason behind this. Then, Gosu starts to curse Kangin and also brings his family into it. Without seconds' delay, fully raged Kangin gets out of the gaming capsule. The coach asks, "What happened?" Kangin, without explaining the situation, says that he will be meeting Gosu in person now and see who will be the dead meat today. Meanwhile, inside the game, Gosu figures out that Overload has quite due to rage. He laughs as he thinks that Overlord can't handle a little trash talk. Still, he recognizes Overlord as an excellent player whose every skill matched the situation perfectly, and there was no delay in the way he played. He realizes that Overlord's playstyle is almost like how Kangin played in the World Championship. But then, he thinks that a World Champion shouldn't be here on a Smurf account. Instead, he is probably off celebrating his win. He decides to push forward in the game since Overlord has rage quit. At the same time, Kangin is using navigation tools from his phone to search for the 4th Street around Manhwa and finally reaches the destined place. He didn't realize Gosu lived in such a rundown place like this. As Kangin walks the stairs, he realizes that living somewhere like this would probably turn anyone into an angry mess. And when he thinks of it, Gosu really played like he was weighed down by something. Kangin perceives that Gosu might be a timid high schooler who uses gaming as his only escape in a place like this. Inside the room, Gosu is kicking the VR capsule out of frustration. He is frustrated because, according to him, all the players quit when he is actually trying to play right. But in the midst of all of it, he starts to feel lonely. So freaking lonely that his life seems a burden to him and regrets the way his life is going. He screams out that he wants to become a pro player like Choi Kangin too, but nobody acknowledges him. His rage reaches its boiling point, and he takes a knife in his hand in order to kill himself. At the perfect time, Kangin burst in with a furious countenance since he has been listening to Gosu for quite some time. Kangin asks, why would people trust a guy who is willing to take his own life when facing hardships in life? Since Kangin said previously, he has come here to see Gosu. Gosu sees that he is in front of the real Choi Kangin. At least Kangin is relieved that he got here in time. So, maybe he can actually talk some sense into this guy, Gosu. Kangin looks at the thing and notices the fact that Gosu has got that kind of physical skill, even with such a trashy VR setup. Skill aside, that talent of using this VR setup is worth something. Kangin suggests that they should just calm down and talk things through. Suddenly, young Gosu makes a run along with the knife. Kangin calls Gosu countless times from the back and follows him outside the building in the street. Kangin tells Gosu to stop because only Kangen knows that Gosu will end up dead tomorrow if he doesn't stop now. While running, Gosu tells Kangen to leave him alone. Kangen says that Gosu should listen to him for once. Gosu flips over and starts to throw bottles and cans at Kangen. "You are just like those boneheads who came here to mess with me, aren't you?" Gosu asks. On the contrary, Kangen, while dodging everything being thrown at him, is confused because he doesn't know what Gosu meant by saying those boneheads. Gosu again starts running, and suddenly a car hits Kangen. The driver gets out and asks worriedly whether he is all right. Kangen wonders what grudges he had with cars in his past life, that he always gets hit by them. The driver of the car suggests Kangen to go to a hospital first, but Kangen starts to run immediately. When he turns around, he sees that his car was rather damaged, rather than the person who got hit by it. Gosu halts for a moment and says that his life has become a total mess once again since he is swinging his knife around Choi Kang-in. In fact, he considers his life to be a legendary mess. Meanwhile, Kang-in has been looking for Gosu since he lost track of him previously. He thinks that, before he returned to this world, he definitely knows that kid Gosu will kill himself today, and there's no question about it. The cops closed the case as a simple suicide, but there were always people who suspected he was murdered, based on the circumstances, and the spot where he supposedly took his life was a construction site near Manhwa High School. So Kang-in starts to look for it, and luckily he is exactly standing right in front of it. At the same time, Gosu is being kicked by someone from behind. A gang of 4 people approaches him, and the guy with an orange t-shirt and yellow-dyed hair seems to be their leader. The guy starts to bully Gosu and asks for money. He says that the money was due to first, but today is already 5th, so Gosu should pay it today. Gosu replies that he really doesn't have any money. The yellow hair guy grabs Gosu's hair and tells him to pay the money no matter what means necessary, and since Gosu is a great grandmaster at the game. So, a little debt will be an easy money for him. Gosu cries as he says that he can't keep going like that. Then, the bully brings out some personal pictures of Gosu. He says that if Gosu doesn't bring the money, the whole world is going to see some very good pictures of him. The bully states that he doesn't care if Gosu does boosted games or grind some other job, as long as he brings the cash. He tells Gosu that he has 2 days, and if he doesn't pay up, these photos of his will definitely go public. Lastly, he tells Gosu to imagine what would be like when the girl named Sehi that Gosu likes sees these pics of his. Gosu smiles, and it seems that he has already lost the interest to live, so he deliberately starts to attack. He shouts that at least he will these people down with him. But moments later, 2 of the guys overpower Gosu and bring him to the ground. The leader takes a brick in his hand in order to kill Gosu. He says that he is gonna kill Gosu because of the scratch in his face. The orange t-shirt guy states that his dad got connections so he can cover it up even if he kills a person, so he tells everyone to back off since he is going to do a murder today. As he is about to kill Gosu, Kangen appears and stops him. Kangen uses the chakra of fury and punch that guy hard enough to make him fly. Kangen says that these little punks in front of him with barely any life experience are acting like full-blown psychopaths, so he must put an end into it. The chakra of fury increases attack power by 20% for 30 seconds, and it costs 100 chakra points. With this, he takes care of the other bullies. He goes near the leader. The leader of the gang tries to scare Kangen by saying that his dad is a big shit, so Kangen will be in big trouble. Lastly, furious Kangen deals the final blow regarding these people worse than animals. Kangen tells Gosu that now he understands what Gosu has been dealing with all this time. Kangen now knows the reason why Gosu will retreat to games as an escape from a miserable reality like this. Kangen tells Gosu that first of all, Gosu needs to get his head straight. In the end, Kangen notices that he needs to patch Gosu up as he carries Gosu in his back. In the next scene, Gosu wakes up and tries to figure out where he is while being completely shocked. "Where am I?" he asks. Kangen replies from the side that it's his house. Then Gosu asks why he is here. Kangen replies that it's because he bought Gosu here. He then gives a quick summary of the epic journey he went through to bring Gosu here. After hearing the entire story, Gosu humbly thanks Kangin. Then he says that Kangin must be in trouble because the boy he beat up previously was a son of a congressman. "And so what, is there a law saying you can't smack a congressman's kid?" Kangen asks as he smiles deviously. He tells Gosu not to worry because he made sure that they got out without leaving a trace. Since Gosu is just a victim of their bullying, so there is nothing to worry about. Out of nowhere, the coach Hachel appears, saying that the bullies won't be able to lay a hand on Gosu, because if they try to bully, Kangen will simply leak all the bad things they did to Gosu in public, so the congressman, after seeing what his son did, will go after his son first. Gosu says that he is still worried about that photo of his. Hyachel replies that Kangen took their phones, deleted the photos, and wiped their cloud accounts too. So there's nothing to worry about. After hearing this, Gosu gets relieved and thanks them from the bottom of his heart while crying. Kangen says that since the big problem is solved, he should mention the reason why he came to find Gosu. "Why do you think I came looking for you?" Kangen asks, deviously. Gosu replies that it's because he trash-talked Kangen, so now maybe Kangen wants to fight in real life. Kangen replies that Gosu is really messed up. Gosu says that he is really sorry for the things he did. According to Gosu's point of view, Kangen shines as he says that he wants to recruit Gosu in his team. But at the same time, Gosu is flabbergasted. He asks why he is being recruited. He says that it's all so sudden. Kangen replies that Gosu is right to think that nobody expects to recruit Troll Gosu because he is the guy trolling in ranked, trash-talking, flaming, dropping nasty insults all over the place. And he is also infamous as that Troll Gosu, who even non-gamers know about from the news. Who would be crazy enough to recruit this infamous Troll Gosu, he asks. Gosu replies, saying that he agrees that nobody with the right mind will recruit him. But Kangen says that the crazy person who is going to recruit this infamous player is him. Moreover, he says that Gosu has got what it takes to be a pro gamer, and he can bet on it. Of course, that trash talker reputation will drag Gosu down. People are going to criticize him. But if he stops making excuses and show everyone he is turning things around, he will succeed as a pro gamer. In fact, Kangen will make sure he does. Gosu shouts that he wants to be the best pro gamer ever. He stands up like a soldier and says that he will listen to every command of Sir Choi Kangen. Then, Kangen takes Gosu to the gym to make his stamina level perfect to do gaming. "Why do I have to work out because of gaming?" Gosu asks. Kangen replies that Gosu will need stamina to game well too. He tells Gosu to do training, practice, even apology letters. Kangen's phone starts to ring. He picks it up and sees that it's Hachiol. Hachiol speaks that he has some great news. He says that last night he grabbed a drink with Coach. "Oh, Coach, oh! You mean Obayongji? The top-tier coach?" Kangen asks. Hachiol replies, saying yes. "That guy tried to recruit Venus, but she turned him down. 200 million. He offered her 200 million won for her salary. But still, Venus turned him down. Gosu asks whether it is the Venus he knows. Kangen replies saying, "Yep, it's the top-ranking streamer, Venus. She's one of the best support players who ranks around Master 2, and Gosu even managed to pick a fight with her, saying all kinds of stuff." Gosu replies that he is sorry. He was out of his mind back then, and he regrets it deeply. The coach is offering 200 million to a rookie who's not even Grandmaster yet, and she still turned him down. "Isn't it wild?" Hachiol asks. Kangen replies that it's something obvious because if it's Venus, she wouldn't budge for 200 million or even 2 billion. Both Hachiol and Gosu are concerned about how Kangen knows about this stuff. So Gosu asks Kangen whether he is friends with Venus. Kangen says that he has never met her, but he has his ways, and lastly, he tells Hachiol to do a favor for him. He asks Hakiol to find where Venus is, just like how he found out about Gosu. In the next scene, we see a dark room and a girl wearing a hoodie, which hides her face. The girl is crying, saying it's not her fault for some clueless people who run their mouths wild. Then, we see a message on her phone from the coach Obyongji, which means this person is Venus, and her real name is Sina, as the message refers to Ms. Sina. The message compromises that if the salary is the issue, they are willing to speak with the higher-ups to increase it to 250 million won, and if it's still not enough, they can add a win bonus. That way, Ms. Sena will get up to 300 million salary. Lastly, it states that their team is eagerly waiting for her reply. She says that she will never be able to become a programmer. Meanwhile, Kangen thinks that it's his lucky day since they are already tracking down Venus. Then, suddenly the window appears because the Golden Mask has sent a chat request. What could this be about? Kangen wonders. Suddenly, he is summoned to an unknown place. The Golden Mask welcomes his guest. Kangen says that he will be billing the Masked Man for travel expenses. The Golden Mask replies he will pay it in chakra as promised. Then Kangen asks, why is he being summoned here? The Golden Mask says that there's something that he wants Kangen to check out. To his surprise, Kangen sees the exact copy of the immortal battlefield and even the characters are identical. Then the Golden Mask proudly shows his collection. So, impressive, isn't it? How's my collection? Aren't you in awe? He asks. Kangen thinks that this guy in front of him is a total geek and a hardcore one at that. He asks whether he was brought here just to see this collection. The Golden Mask replies that even he wouldn't waste someone's time like that, and I called Kangen here because he needs advice on a strategy he has been wanting to test out. He wants to know the insight of a League of Infinity champion. Wait, don't tell me you've been playing this all by yourself? Kangen asks. The Golden Mask replies that it's like Go, or chess, or checkers. It's an intellectual escape for someone like him, burdened with the duty of ruling. But since there's no internet here, he has to play alone. Kangen perceives that basically, this ruler is lonely and wanted someone to play with. Since he is here, he decides to see the strategy of the ruler, but if it's a total joke, then he is out. The Golden Mask replies that won't because he knows the basics at least, and if he receives good advice, then he will actually give Kangen a very cool gift. Firstly, Kangen finds a major flaw in the ruler's strategy, because the ruler has used the characters Hong Gildong and Bodyuang, because there is no tank, and since the red team has a powerful tank like Nas Horn, even if the blue team got a balanced poking meta, Nas Horn's airborne ultimate could wipe them out. The ruler then asks whether there is a solution to this. Kangen replies saying, sure, there's. They can just add Dimension Lord as a support. That way, the blue team won't get overpowered in a team fight against their lane. Of course, adding Dimension Lord means losing some poking power, which might leave them short on damage. From the side, the Golden Mask thinks that Kangen's point of view is praiseworthy indeed, because he's came up with a solution the ruler didn't even think of in seconds. Then, they talk about strategy for about 2 hours. Kangen is shocked to know that he was lecturing for 2 hours. He scratches his hair, calling himself a total game nerd, as he loses track of time the moment they start talking strategy. Then, the Golden Mask hands over a box to Kangen for a gift. Kangen opens it and sees that it's a ring. The ring's name is Heidi's Stealth Ring, an artifact used by the legendary thief Heiditum. It's an item that hides any trace of chakra usage. The one who uses it will be completely undetectable when using chakra on Earth. It grants invisibility for 60 seconds and has a cooldown of 600 seconds. After that, the Golden Mask gives Kangen an energy core that will boost his total as the payment of his travel expenses. He tells Kangen to swallow it and it will chakra on its own. The ruler states that today was truly enjoyable, and lastly, he says that the ring's ability has a command phrase to activate. Kangen can activate it by just saying the word hiding. Kangin comes back to Earth, with his chakra capacity being increased and gaining 350 experience points. Due to XP, he levels up. He thinks that since he got this gift, he should try it. So he goes straight to his sister Miho to do a quick healing session. He activates the healing chakra, and when he is done, he tells Miho to try moving. Miho tries moving and sees that she can stand up, but not perfectly. Then, both brother and sister cry tears of happiness. Kangin says that next time he will heal her perfectly and try to heal their mother too. The nurse again has seen Kangin performing the healing session. Inside the car, Kangin notices that Venus has blocked his number 2. Hacheol asks whether it has to be specifically Sena because there are other skilled supporters. Kangin replies that it's true, there are lots of supports better than Sena, but it has to be her because Park Sena isn't the type who specializes in 1 or 2 heroes. She's versatile, great with all kinds of heroes. She has a wide hero pool. So what's the advantage? Coach? Kangin questions. The coach answers that then it should be in the field of meta because she can adapt no matter how the meta changes. Kangin says that exactly it. Whatever the new trends are, she'll quickly adjust and handle it. Plus, the opposing team won't be able to predict which hero Park Sena will pick. They will have an edge right from the draft phase if they recruit Park Sena. They reach Sena's staying location, but they are thinking whether they should barge into her place or not because it could backfire. More importantly, it's not exactly cool for 2 guys to show up unannounced at a woman's house. As they are thinking about what to do, they hear a loud shout saying to stop this. A streamer has found out Sena and Current, filming it telling his subscribers that he has finally tracked down the mysterious gaming streamer, Venus. Sena tells him to stop filming, but the streamer wouldn't budge because he is dead adamant to reveal the mysterious gamer Venus's true identity. As he is about to pull the hoodie, Kangin appears and pushes the culprit back, saying that he bumped into the guy by mistake. He then tells the streamer to get lost. He asks Sena whether she is okay. Sena, at first glance, recognizes that she is talking to Choi Kangin. In the next scene, Kangin has already entered Sena's house. Sena shows her gratitude towards Kangin by saying thanks. Kangin gets straight to the point and says that he is here to recruit Ms. Sena for his personal team. Sena says, sorry, but answer is still a no. She says that Kangin hadn't helped her out. She wouldn't have even let him into her home. She removes the hoodie from her face, revealing the state of her face, saying that Kangin will know the reason behind her answer in one look. Bearing a sad countenance, Sena says that with a face like this, she could never be a pro gamer. Kangin now understands the reason for Sena. Never meeting people, hardly stepping outside, and always blocking any comments about her appearance on stream, because it's a complex about her looks. Kangin says that he is sorry for her seeing her like this, and he never intended to, but he shares that he has to ask a question regarding it. Is appearance really that important, Miss Sena? He asks, because he believes that skill is everything for a pro gamer. After hearing it, Sena gets extremely furious. She shouts at Kangin, saying that he can't easily say something like that without knowing how much a person can suffer because of a bad face. Kangin blankly replies that he can say it easily because he is here to recruit skills, not appearance. He then asks what Sena would do if she could fix her face. Wouldn't she want to take someone's hand, even if they were a devil Lucifer? What do you mean? Change my face? Are you saying you'd pay for surgery? Ha! You think I haven't looked into that already? Sena asks. She says that she has searched for every famous doctor and hospital, but they all said the same thing, that modern medicine can't fix her. She concludes that there are things in this world money can't buy. Then Kangin asks a couple of questions. Whether she isn't scared of meeting other people or whether she does want to live like that. He says that maybe it's not his place to say, but he wants to say that Sena's talent's too valuable to let go to waste. In addition, He gives her a reality check by saying that no matter how tough things get, no matter the pain, Cena will need to use her talent because no one will lift her up even if she is suffering or broken. Only she can pick herself up, so she should refuse to give up and take what she wants and deserves. That's how her life will start to change, because that's how Kangen started to change his life. Lastly, he tells her to join the team and bring her skills so that she could change her life for the better. Cena agrees with Kangen, saying that she is so tired of hiding that she doesn't want to keep living like this. But the idea of facing people with this face terrifies her. Kangen replies that then it's all the more reason for her to take his hand so that he can help her. "You'll really help me?" Cena questions. Kangen answers that a devil doesn't lie, but he does take payment and he starts to treat her with chakra. After some moment, he says that he has healed her so she could see for herself in the mirror. She runs quickly to the mirror, and what she sees brings her to tears. Her face is being half-healed. At the next moment, Coach Heikaol sees that Kangen has gathered his squad for his team. Kangen replies that he finally got the team together after going through so much trouble. Heikaol says that he was utterly shocked when Kangen brought those two brothers in. Kangen replies that there's nothing money can't solve, in fact it gets everything right. Coach Heikaol says that he is worried because he is the one who has to find all the sponsors to pay the players. Kangen replies that in this world, someone's value is measured by money. If someone's worth it, they deserve to be recognized. Heikaol says that is why he has brought a sponsor already, and as he hears the stepping noise of someone coming, he quickly goes to open the gate. But the moment he opens and sees the chairwoman, he gets flabbergasted and shuts the door in an instant. Why is the chairwoman here? Kangen wonders. Heikaol opens the door and says that he is sorry for closing the door due to astonishment. "Wait, is Balboa Games your sponsor, dude?" Kangen asks. Heikaol answers that he thought he arranged the sponsorship with Balboa Games Korea, not the main branch, actually. The chairwoman says that it's a lovely house and greets the teammates Kangen brought. Then she says that she wants to have a chat with owner Choi Kangen, and it should be just the two of them. The chairwoman of Balboa Games and Kangen sit down to have a talk. Kangen, while sweating, asks whether Balboa Games would like to sponsor Kangen directly. The chairwoman replies, saying yes, and it would be for around 2 billion. She says they will provide a building for the team for 6 months, cover 60% of the players' salaries, and a cash injection of 1 billion KRW. Kangen nervously says that it is an excessive amount for a team that has yet to be established. Kangen asks the chairwoman what she wants from them exactly. The chairwoman says she likes that they are fast in the conversation, and that Kangen is correct as there is one condition for all this. She says her condition is that Kangen and his team have to win the first place of League of Infinity Korea Championship summer season. Kangen says it is as expected, to achieve the royal road that no pro team has achieved in the AOS game history. The chairwoman starts to say, "Of course, if you don't have any confidence in that, the supporting fund won't be..." But before she could finish, Kangen says he agrees with her condition. He tells the chairwoman to not try to test his and his team's resolve, as they won't be swayed by that small amount of money. The chairwoman says she apologizes if she made Kangen upset. She says they will proceed with the funds as planned, and she will also add the conditions Kangen said. She says additionally, they will promise to give Kangen and his T 2 billion incentives if they win the first place. Kangen says, "Great, I accept." The chairwoman, while getting up from her chair, says she will submit a separate document detailing the new contract to coach Lee Heikaol. Just before opening the door and leaving, she tells Kangen that the sponsorship is unprecedented, and because of that, it's likely to draw envy from others, and so she tells Kangen to be careful. In the next scene, we see a guy talking on the phone. The person on the other end of the phone is named Taeksu. The guy tells Taeksu that he wants him to prioritize a task as there is someone they need to deal with totally. Kangin and their team declare their establishment as a team in a press conference and keep their name as Team Dream Squad. Lee Hecol announces that this concludes their declaration of the establishment of Dream Squad and that there will be a question and answer session with the media. He asks whether there are any questions. The person whose name we heard just now on the phone, Taek-soo, is present there, and he raises his hand and introduces himself as Kim Taek-soo and says that he is a reporter from Gamiyu, and he has a question. Kangin recognizes the reporter who had previously wrote a column criticizing Gosu. The reporter begins by saying, "Isn't it a human courtesy for someone to take responsibility for what they've done?" He then goes on to say, player Jung Gosu, also known as player Gosu, had engaged in many unmannerly acts. Even calling it unmannerly is not suitable, rather it's a crime. He had name-called other people in all kinds of forms. Slanders, insults. There must have been quite a few people who have suffered mentally and quit playing from what player Jung Gosu had done. After causing all that havoc and psychological harm, now he said that he's reflecting and has been rehabilitated. Aren't you just trying to sweep it off under the rug with a single line of apologies? So my question. Player Gosu, do you really mean your apologies? Or are you pretending to reflect your actions so you can become a pro gamer? Lee Hecol tries to defuse the situation by saying that they will only be accepting questions regarding Dream Squad establishment for today. But the reporter keeps on going. He says that he would like to ask the intentions for recruiting a problematic player, Jung Gosu, from the club leader himself, player Choi Kangin. He asks, "Is this what you call a match made in heaven? With you getting kicked out from Slayers after causing all kinds of problems, then felt some sympathy with someone just as problematic as you, which is player Gosu?" Kangin gets mad at this and calls the reporter a bastard in his mind. The reporter's provocative questions and statements sends the other reporters present into a frenzy. They ask whether what Kim Taek-soo said was the truth, and are the rumors regarding his discord with the Slayers team members true, and what his intention was behind recruiting player Gosu. They urge Kangin to answer. Kangin thinks to himself that this is what Park Sang-jong, the person who was talking on the phone, has been aiming at. He says to himself whether the journalist thinks he doesn't know that he and Park Sang-jong used to frequent the room salons together. He says he will not allow them to turn their Dream Squad inauguration ceremony into a disbandment. He says, "Let me give you an answer," but gets interrupted by Gosu. Gosu says he has something to say. Kangin gets taken aback as to what Gosu possibly has to say. Gosu says, like what all of you journalists and reporters said, I know I can't just wash away my wrongdoings, I was wrong, but I truly, sincerely regretted for all I've had to done. I am indefensible, be bad gamer too, and a key criminal to the victims, to my insults and name-calling, sincerely, to truly sincerely, deeply apologize. Kangin thinks to himself that Gosu is doing the right thing, and this is something he has no choice but to face. Gosu goes on saying, "I really want to change. I want to throw away my embarrassing past and start anew. Never again do it. No swearing, no name-calling, no harassing other gamers. I sincerely regret and am reflecting. I want to atone and make amends and be reborn again. So please, just give me just one more chance. If you give me the chance, I'll definitely become a new person." He says all this while being on his knees and even laying on the floor. Kangin asks for everyone to excuse Gosu and says, as they are seeing player Jung, Gosu is truly reflecting on the malicious behaviors, insults, and trolling he had done in the past, and that he had joined their team with a condition that he will never repeat those things again. He also says that from this moment on, if they witness player Jung Gosu engaged in any mannerless behavior, to please report it to the club, and they will terminate their contract with player Gosu immediately and dismiss him from the team. Kangin says they have accepted Gosu after they had seen the extent of his will to settle this. Additionally, they're preparing to compensate those who were affected mentally and physically by player Jung Gosu's behaviors. and Kangen would like to ask something in return. Obviously, people should be responsible for their own actions. But do they have to criticize someone who's sincerely trying to change themselves? Everyone just has to keep an eye on them when they've shown their firm commitment. Just then, it won't be too late for one to criticize them if they themselves had proven it wrong. He further says, while indirectly targeting Kim Taek-soo, "And for those who brought up about the situation between me and the Slayers team without any basis, I won't tolerate that kind of fake news. Please also take note that we won't hesitate to take legal action in the event of groundless slander or fake news about the team spreading in the future as well." Kangen says in his mind, "Do you think I'll just back down if you tried to manipulate the media like this? If you thought it's that easy, to think, again, Park Sang-jong." Lee Hae-chol announces that they will be ending the interview session here. Outside, Gosu apologizes to Kangin, and Kangin says it's okay, but he did a very great job. He tells Gosu that this kind of things will always come from now on, but he just has to do what he did in the interview session. Gosu says he understands. Kangin tells Lee Hae-chol to go with the others first, and he has something to do for a little while. Lee Hae-chol says to leave them to him. Kangin goes to a room and shut the door and locks it, as it is almost time for his summoning to planet Proxima. The time comes for his summoning, and Kangin says he has to do what he has to do, and dimension jumps to planet Proxima. Kangin gets unconscious for a brief moment, but he wakes up when he hears someone calling him. Surprisingly enough, it is the orc Guntrack, whom he previously defeated. Guntrack tells Kangin to get ready quickly because the match will be starting soon. Without understanding anything, Kangin activates the aura of fury to fight the orc. Guntrack explains that this time he is not a foe, but an ally who is going to fight alongside Kangin today. At first, Kangin seems rather confused, but then he starts to perceive the situation while telling Guntrack to find something stronger as a weapon. Kangin feels like he is being played with. As for starters, the golden mask threw him in the Colosseum and told him to fight with this orc, and now he has to fight another opponent, but time the orc will be a comrade of his. Meanwhile, the orc gets frustrated as he tells Kangin to choose a weapon faster since the match is about to begin. Kangin chooses a sword quickly and swings it to test its compatibility. Guntrack suggests that Kangin should use an armor at least. It's a hunting armor which the orcs wear when they go hunting. Kangin asks whether Guntrack has forgotten that they had battled a month ago. The orc replies that he does remember it, but they are now comrades. So as an honorable warrior, he always does his best for his comrades. He tells Kangin not to doubt and just believe in him, because they are going to win this together. Kangin agrees, saying that they should combine their strength and win this to survive. While walking, Kangin thinks that he has to survive no matter what for the sake of his mother, little sister, and also now for his new team that he gathered. They enter the arena. The commentators announce that this is the fourth match of the day, and gladiator from the distant east continent, Choi Kangin, and the fierce orc gladiator, Guntrack, has formed a team to face the terrifying monster. Kangin wonders who is their opponent, and seconds later a horde of goblins runs towards them. The first goblin is being slashed by Kangin, and Guntrack is rushing towards the goblins and swings his axe, which clears some of the goblins. The audience shouts as they are enjoying the chemistry between this duo. In the middle of the battle, Kangin notices that he is receiving experience points just for being in a party of two, even though he is not killing anyone. He feels that his world is also a real game in itself. Kangin helps Guntrack by killing the goblin who was going to attack from behind. They both have their backs covered up by one another and start to defeat the goblins with ease. They defeated the horde of goblins in style. Kangin has already reached level 10, but to him, it's freaking exhausting. Guntrack tells Kangin not to let his guard down, since they won't be having goblins as their opponents anymore. A stronger opponent is coming. He also concludes that they will be having 3 matches, so they need to fight 3 times. With that being said, the second match starts and a terrifying monster appears. It's a mixture of an eagle and a bear. The eagle bear rushes in as soon as it gets out of the cage and pushes the opponent back. Kangen activates his protection chakra to minimize his damage. He realizes that he would have died if not for this protection chakra. While sitting on the ground, he wonders what kind of monster he is facing. The audience shouts that this monster is a rare find, so this battle will be intense and worth the watch. The commentators surprises every one of them by saying that they have 3 eagle bear instead of 1 to make this match even hotter. Kangen clenches his teeth, seeing that he has to face 3 of these beasts. Then he sees that the orc is trembling in fear. He tries to lighten up the mood by telling Guntrak that an honorable warrior wouldn't tremble like this. He tells Guntrak not to worry since he has figured something out. He thinks that if the system is a game, then this fight is no different than a game as well. As Lucifer Choi Kangin, he had never give up or lose when it comes to games. So he shouts that he will also carry this game. Kangen tells Guntrak that he has a plan and tells him to follow it so that they can win. Guntrak obliges. Guntrak motivates Kangen, saying Kangen is a strong warrior, and Guntrak believes in him. Kangen and Guntrak go in for the attack. Kangen says he can possibly take down the eagle bears with his current conditions, but if he uses his stat point, which he earned to level up his skill levels, he can succeed. He uses the stat point to increase his chakra in total, stamina, and agility. Kangen goes to attack the first eagle bear, but he almost gets hit before he could land his blow. Guntrak jumps and attacks another one using his huge axe, but gets smacked so hard that he flies back. Kangen activates his speed chakra. Each increases his movement and reaction speed by 30%. The eagle bear attacks Kangen, but due to his increases reaction speed, he dodges it. Kangen then jumps on top of the creature and stabs it and calls Guntrak for assistance. Guntrak gets up and uses his axe to decapitate the creature. The crowd goes wild at this and calls Kangen and Guntrak amazing. Guntrak thanks Kangen for this, and Kangen says Guntrak also did great. The other enemies also begin to attack them, and they get ready. Kangen tells Guntrak that they should fight one of the enemies together, but they should block their attack first, and Guntrak concurs. Kangen and Guntrak attack the enemies. Kangen slashes one of the enemies and says it feels like he is playing the Infinity League. Kangen says to himself that he will consider it to be the same as the Infinity League because whether it is game or reality, death and losing mean exactly the same according to him. Guntrak and Kangen attack a single eagle bear, and Kangen uses his sword to kill it. The remaining eagle bear proceeds to attack them. Kangen tells Guntrak to attack its front paw as it will lose its balance. Guntrak hits its front paw and disables it for a moment, and Kangen uses the opportunity to slash the creature and tells Guntrak to finish it off, and so Guntrak lands the last killing blow. Kangen and Guntrak manage to defeat 3 eagle bears. While Guntrak celebrates, Kangen thinks to himself, how the crowd are getting excited when someone's life is at stake, but then he thinks that there's not much difference from being a pro gamer, risking life, fighting enemies, standing in front of cheering audiences, everything. Meanwhile, announcements ring out on the speaker saying, "The prominent gladiators are now only a step away from immortal glory. They have only 1 match left." Kangen checks his stat points and sees he has gotten a lot of experience points, and he thinks to himself that it must be because the next enemy is a high-level monster. He asks Guntrak whether he has any idea who their next opponent is, but Guntrak doesn't have any idea as well. Kangen then says to himself that if the opponent is unknown, then their priority is to analyze the enemy first. He tells Guntrak to spread out and analyze the enemy first, and Guntrak obliges. In the meantime, a gate opens behind Guntrak, and the announcer announces that everyone won't get any time to even blink from then on, as the next opponent for them is the assassin in the darkness, Dark Beast. The beast appears behind Guntrak. Kangen screams at Guntrak, telling him to be careful, but before Guntrak could fully turn around, he gets attacked by the beast in front of everyone, as his blood splatters everywhere. Meanwhile, in the hospital, the yellow-haired guy hears the news where they are telecasting the inaugural of Kangen's team. The journalist on the TV says, An inaugural ceremony of the Dream Squad, Choi Kang-in's new team with players of League of Infinity, was held just a little while ago. There were some pretty aggressive questions asked. Now let's listen to the interview with young Gosu, the player who was at the center of the controversy. They then play the clip of Gosu apologizing for his previous mistakes. The yellow-haired guy says to himself how someone like young Gosu can become a pro gamer, a mere someone like Gosu, who would just play as his ATM. He says he will not let it go and he will kill Gosu. He will ruin his life. He activates his AI assistant on his mobile and tells it to call his mom. His mom picks up and she asks him if anything is wrong, or if he feels uncomfortable, or there is anything he needs. He says there is no such thing. He just has something to say. He says his mom had told him that if there is anything he wants, his mom will grant it. His mom says yes and tells him to just say what he needs and she will arrange it. He smirks and says he has been thinking about it in the ward and he wants to become a pro gamer. Meanwhile, back at the arena, Guntrack gets badly hit by the Dark Beast and Kang-in screams in terror. He rushes forward while noticing that the monster disappeared in an instant. So, before it goes into hiding, Kang-in decides to attack it, but the Dark Beast disappears again. It gets behind Kang-in and immediately attacks him. Even with the protection chakra on, the beast deals a severe damage to Kang-in. Without lingering, the beast again starts to attack, but because Kang-in swings his sword, the beast disappears and goes into hiding again. Kang-in notices that Guntrack is in a bad shape, so he runs there to give him a hand. The orc says that he doesn't want to die here. Guntrack asks how they can even fight a beast whom they can't even see. Kang-in smiles as he sees the footprints of the Dark Beast. He tells Guntrack that there is a way for them to win over that damned hiding cat. Guntrack rushes near the beast at first sight, yet the Dark Beast manages to disappear. Kang-in realizes that the beast can hide its body, but it can't control the surrounding variables 100%. He follows the beast's footprints and predicts that it will attack from the orc's left side, so he immediately goes to block the attack. Kang-in avoids and counterattacks at the same time. Finally, he manages to deal some damage to the beast. As Guntrack is about to attack, the beast pushes him back by a strong attack and goes into hiding again so that Kang-in can't attack. Then Kang-in remembers that he has that ring which can be used for hiding. He uses the hide's ring to hide. Guntrack sees that both Kang-in and the monster are now gone. He feels that the human has abandoned him and ran away. Suddenly, the Dark Beast appears right in front of him. The orc struggles to stop the beast by holding its mouth. He says that he can't die here since he has people to protect and a family to feed. Meanwhile, Kang-in is waiting for the right moment to appear in order to strike the beast. He thinks that he has to kill the monster in one shot. Guntrack couldn't hold the monster any longer and falls onto the ground. While lying on the ground, Guntrack realizes that this may be his last moment, so he shouts that he is going to die proudly and honorably. Kang-in appears right in front of him as a ray of last hope. He tells Guntrack not to be too dramatic because they are not filming a drama here. Guntrack gets angry at that comment and he calls Kang-in human in an annoyed tone. Kang-in gets mad at Guntrack for calling him human again and again, even though he has a name. He activates his Wrath Chakra and screams that his name is Choi Kang-in. He uses the Wrath Chakra to attack the Dark Beast. He then lands another blow with his sword while asking where the beast thinks it's at, and he manages to decapitate the beast. Kang-in huffs and puffs while telling himself that he thought he would die for real this time. The crowd erupt in cheer at Kang-in slaying the beast. Kang-in thinks to himself that it is the same feeling as winning a match as a pro gamer, the same cheers, the same sense of accomplishment, the thrill, the victory, and the excitement too. Guntrack from the back tells Kang-in that wasn't Kang-in running away as he said before. Kang-in replies saying no, and he was just waiting for the right opportunity to win. He then scolds Guntrack, telling him to stop calling him human and that he has a name, Choi Kang-in, and Guntrack obliges. Meanwhile, announcements ring out on the speakers saying, "Please give a big round of applause and cheers to Choi Kang-in and Guntrack for their glorious victory. We have a prizing ceremony coming soon, so gladiator Choi Kang-in, and Guntrack, please come up to the stage." Kang-in says what prize-giving ceremony they are talking about and say who the hell likes prize-giving ceremonies in an annoyed tone. But on the other hand, Guntrack is exhilarated and excited for the prize-giving ceremony. He rushes up the stairs telling Kang-in to hurry up to get the trophy. Kang-in asks Guntrack whether he thinks that they will give something amazing in the prizing ceremony, maybe like gold or jewels. Guntrack replies saying, of course they will give a rewarding item befitting the honorable fight, and it is the reason Guntrack fought, because he is expecting that. Kang-in thinks to himself that for him, the experience points, and the cheers from the audience is the reward he got from that place. When they reach the top of the stairs, they get greeted by the conservator of the Colosseum, Polybius, who says it is nice to meet the warriors, Kang-in and Guntrack. Polybius compliments them, saying the match was really amazing, and even the audience seems to be very satisfied. He tells Guntrack that he and Guntrack have known each other for a while and tells him Guntrack still looks energetic and cool. Meanwhile, Kang-in thinks to himself that he just wants to quickly receive the reward and return home. Polybius then moves on to Kang-in, complimenting him, saying he plays very well for a beginner and that skill which he was hiding is very uncommon, and he says he has high expectations for Kang-in. Polybius begins to say, well, if you keep fighting without losing your dream as a gladiator, then you can become immortals. But stops mid-sentence and says, wait, never mind, nothing. Kang-in thinks to himself, what the old man is babbling about, and he's not even trying to make it better for one who just got dragged here. Kang-in replies, saying Gladiator's dream is bullshit, and it's not something that he wants to do, and there's no way for such things. Polybius instructs a knight in the back to bring the reward for Kang-in and Guntrack. The knights bring over some glass containers which contain objects that appear to look like eggs. Guntrack is shining with excitement, while Kang-in is extremely annoyed. He annoyingly asks Polybius whether he is kidding with him. Polybius gets offended at this. Kang-in goes on a rant. He says they put their lives at stake and barely survived, but all they get is these eggs that Polybius calls an item. He asks what Polybius wants him to do with the eggs. Does he want Kang-in to boil the egg and eat it? Polybius gets shocked at these statements by Kang-in and asks him whether he knows what the eggs are. Kang-in asks whether it is a dragon egg or something. Guntrack clarifies for Kang-in, saying Kang-in is from the eastern continent and he does not know what mother bird is. Kang-in gets confused to hear the word mother bird and becomes curious as to what it is. Polybius shakes his head repeatedly and says that even if he is from the eastern continent, is Guntrack trying to say that the people of the eastern continent aren't descendants of the mother bird or what? Kang-in thinks to himself that the old geezer, Polybius, is driving him nuts. Kang-in asks what the mother bird is and asks whether it is something like a huge chicken. Polybius says it's the mother of all things, that all living in Proxima are the descendants of the mother bird, and that every living being is born from the mother bird's eggs. He says that any living thing can come out of the mother bird's eggs, maybe a deer or an orc, etc. Kang-in says, so no one knows what's going to pop behind those eggs, is it? Polybius replies, saying exactly, and so he and Guntrack have to choose carefully. Kang-in is on his last nerve and he loses his patience and scream out saying Polybius is joking. Polybius asks whether he is not satisfied with the reward. At this, Kang-in absolutely loses it and goes up in flames in anger, saying, I hate that gambling thing the most. Does giving a lottery ticket as a reward make any sense to you? Dirty luck game. Meanwhile, Guntrack tries to calm Kang-in down. Kang-in in a rage says to himself that even thinking about how his 17+ weapon broke back then make him grind his teeth and tears come out of his eyes because of his intense anger. Kang-in says that anyways, he can't take that and tells Polybius to give him something else, either money or something. Polybius absolutely not. while sweating. When Kangen asks in a fit why not, Polybius replies saying that due to a failed investment from the Gladiators Association, the budget is tight, and after hearing this, Guntrack holds Kangen to stop him from going buck wild and destroying everything in sight, including Polybius. In a last attempt, Polybius sternly tells him that he can't change the reward and to just take it and get it done. They take the eggs and go back to the barracks. Kangen is extremely upset and says he is going to annihilate Polybius if he gets his hands on him, while on the other hand, Guntrack is extremely happy with his reward. He is all smiles and says he is going to sell the egg he received and get some gold, eat meat, drink beers, and buy gifts for his family. Guntrack tells Kangen to come with him together. Kangen asks where, and Guntrack says Kangen is a great comrade and he has saved Guntrack, so he tells him that they should go and eat some meat together. He says his family would love Kangen too. In his mind, Kangen thinks about his mom, his sister Miho, and those who are not blood-related to as his family that he has to take care of, and so he agrees to go with Guntrack, happily saying, "Dinner sounds good." Guntrack gets happy that Kangen accepted his invitation. Kangen says he will go, but he doesn't know when he will be returning to his world. But before he could finish his sentence, one of the eggs Kangen received starts to hatch. After seeing it, hatching Guntrack shouts, saying Polybius has scammed them because once the mother egg hatches, it becomes useless. Giving someone an egg that is about to hatch is an act of scam. Moreover, he says that previously, after the eggs hatched, some common animals like a badger and a frog came out. After hearing this, Kangen thinks that he is not really into selling eggs, but at the same time he wonders what will come out this time. Surprisingly enough, a baboon comes out disappointing Kangen. He gets enraged to see that his reward for risking his life is a baboon. Then he realizes that it's all about, and his luck has never been better. He remembers that there is another egg, and it also starts to hatch. Guntrack tells Kangen that this time he will get something good. Kangen says that he has no hope because his luck is garbage anyways. He laughs as he says that time maybe he will get platypus because they are rare, though they are not useful. Suddenly, the light intensity increases, and Kangen says that last time when the baboon came out, it wasn't like this. Guntrack says that he also hasn't seen anything like this before. Kangen wonders what on earth is about to come out. Meanwhile, on Earth, Kangen's team along with the coach are traveling in the car. The teammates are worried that Kangen has gone for too long without saying anything. Hechol says that it's Kangen they are talking about. He's the best gamer in the country. Wherever he goes, he's the center of attention. So, he's probably just swarmed by fans signing autographs. Gosu says that this time Kangen has gone without saying anything, and that's why he is worried. The coach remembers that previously he had a chat with Kangen. He remembers Kangen saying that his former coach, Park Sang-jong, is way dirtier than the public thinks, and Kangen made a mess out of that kind of person. So Kangen's former coach will do anything to attack him, no matter the means, not just media attacks. He might even try to kill him. Hechel quickly gets out of the car telling the others to wait. As he is running, he wishes that what he has been thinking doesn't really happen. In the arena, upon seeing a baby dragon, Kangen asks whether he is seeing or not. Guntrack says that he hasn't eaten meat for a long time, so he might be hallucinating. He also says that he can't believe in his eyes now that he is seeing a silver dragon. "What's a silver dragon?" Kangen asks. Guntrack says that he once saw a mural of a silver dragon. The greatest heroes rode silver dragons. Silver dragons are friendly to humans. They are an epitome of gentle dragons. In addition, long time ago, an emperor bought tons of eggs trying to hatch a dragon but failed. His empire even collapsed because of it. So Kangen has achieved something practically impossible. As Kangen stares at the dragon, it starts to move closer to Kangen. Kangen takes an alarming stance, ready to face anything dangerous, but the dragon just gives him a lovely smooch. The silver dragon introduces herself as Lorien. She says that she was asleep for so long in the dark, but she is happy that her master woke her up. By master, she is referring to the person standing right in front of her. She says that he wants to be with her master forever. Kangin gets confused at first, then he wonders while smiling that he has now become a master of a dragon. At the same time, Polybius enters with a smirk on his face, because watching gladiators hatching some birds and other useless stuff is the best feeling for him. The look of despair and annoyance of the gladiators is a form of salvation for him. Upon entering, he asks what they got. First, he notices the baboon and claps, saying that it's a fantastic creature to pull. He turns around to see what they got in the other egg. He says that maybe it's a goblin. Then, he feels something heavy on his bald head. Upon seeing a silver dragon, he asks whether he has lost his mind because of his age. He immediately faints after realizing that it's actually a silver dragon. He wonders how silver dragon came out from a 2-coin cheap egg. Kongan says that it serves him right for trying to scam them. The time that Kongan can spend in this dimension has ended, so he is being immediately transferred back to Earth. He feels like he is frozen, but the other people around him are moving. On Earth, Hechol is slamming the door of Kongan, telling him to come out. He tells Kongan to answer, or else he will come by force. After landing on Earth, he sees a notice telling him that the synchronization has failed due to bound entities, so it will result in a temporal loss. He wonders what the system means by it and starts to look around. Lee Haekol says he is coming in and tells Kangan to be ready. Kangan tells him that he is fine and tells Lee Haekol to hold. Lee Haekol breaks the door open as if he is the FBI, and what he sees next leaves him speechless. He sees Kangan with a monkey and a girl. The silver dragon had turned into a girl due to the error. Kangan breaks into a sweat, and Kangan and Lee Haekol both stare at each other for a few moments. Kangan asks Lee Haekol whether he trusts him or not, and tells him to hear Kangan out for a second, while the girl is clinging onto Kangan's hand. He says Lee Haekol is misunderstanding the whole situation and tells Lee to give him a minute to explain. Lee Haekol's face goes blank as he thinks something unethical is going on, and he tells Kangan in a kind of disappointed tone, "Kangan, is trusted you, let's turn you in," meaning he will turn Kangan in to the police. Kangan breaks in a nervous laughter and asks Lee whether he is crazy. Meanwhile, back at Proxima, we see the man in the golden mask speaking to Polybius. Polybius had told the man in the mask about the fact that Kangan had hatched a silver dragon, and the man cannot believe it, asking again whether Polybius is actually saying it, to be reassured. Polybius replies, yes, he did say it, and mean it. The man still cannot believe it, and thinks whether it is due to Polybius's age that he is blabbering all this, so he asks how old Polybius is, to which Polybius replies he is 79. The man tells Polybius that he appreciated his long years of service, but perhaps it is time for him to retire as the latest joke he just cracked is just bad. Polybius loudly exclaims that it is just a misunderstanding, and he is telling the truth about Kangan hatching a silver dragon. He says he too was shocked, and he was so shocked that he foamed at the mouth and collapsed. The man asks one last time whether it is so, to which Polybius replies saying there is not a single lie in his words, and his majesty can ask the knights who were there. The golden-masked man is exhilarated at Kangan's hatch and exclaims saying he is truly blessed by the gods. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the girl is munching on some bread, and Kangan had told Lee Haekol that the girl is a distant relative from overseas, and in the rush to take them in, Kangan didn't get the chance to inform his team. Kangan says it may be hard to believe, but it is what it is. Lee Haekol says he believes Kangan. Kangan reassures Lee Haekol by telling him to look at the girl and says that she clearly looks like she is not Korean. Lee Haekol says of course he believes Kangan, because if he didn't, he would have reported Kangan to the police. He says that anyways, he is glad Kangan is okay as he was worried that something might have happened to him. Kangin says that as messed up his old manager, Park Sang-jong, is, he's not stupid enough to do something as reckless as that. He says that if Park Sang-jong tries anything, it will be in the dirtiest, pettiest way possible, trying to suffocate them all. Lee Hae-kol says they will deal with it together if something like that happens. Lee Hae-kol asks Kangin what he is going to do with the girl, whom Kangin introduced to Lee Hae-kol as Lorian. He says he will take care of her for now. He tells the girl to call him Appa instead of Master from now on, and the girl obliges, hugging Kangin in excitement. Kangin sighs and says that if she acts like this again, she will be put in a dragon farm. Lee Hae-kol hears this and gets confused at what he said, and Kangin gaslights him into thinking he never said anything like that, and that he simply told Lee Hae-kol to get the girl some clothes. The girl's stomach grumbles as she is hungry. Lee Hae-kol gets surprised as to how the girl is still hungry even after eating a lot of bread and milk, and assumes that it's due to a growth spurt. The girl tells Kangin that she is hungry and she wants to eat a wild boar. Kangin buries his head in his hand and asks whether he is going to have to buy an all-you-can-eat barbecue place or something for her. After all this happened, time went on, and Kangin quietly managed various tasks. He kept treating Miho's condition, using his power, and also treated his team member, Park Sina's condition. He also kept up his own physical training to prepare for the next time he is summoned to Proxima, and handled all matters related to running the team. He looks at the timeline of his shift from a player to a team owner on the news website on his laptop, where he also sees Park Sang-jong's statement in which he mysteriously said, "The truth will be revealed." Kangin thinks to himself that Park Sang-jong is only sticking to media attacks for now, but this won't be the end of it. As Lee Hae-kol said, the best move is to watch Park Sang-jong's next move and respond accordingly. He then says that it is not his usual style, but he has to make sure that their teamwork is rock solid first. He gathers his team and tells them that they have a friendly practice match with a top team at 2 p.m. to which they all respond in unison saying yes. He tells the team that this will be their first time gaming together as a full team, so there is no need for anyone to stress and to just think of it as a warm-up getting in sync. But before he could go further, he gets interrupted by the girl, Lorian, who hugs Kangin and asks to eat together. Kangin asks why Lorian is here and says he had told her to sit tight while he is working, but she protests, saying she wants to eat with Kangin. Lorian's cuteness overwhelms the team members. The team says they will make sure to work hard as they can't have Kangin's daughter going hungry, while referring to Lorian as Kangin's daughter, to which Kangin says that they are trying to make Kangin a single dad. Suddenly, Lee Hae-kol opens the door and enters the room they are in, saying there is a big problem. He says that the friendly match they were planned to have got canceled. Kangin says that it happens sometimes, and they will just do it next time, and they should just focus on team ranks for now. But Lee Hae-kol says that's not is, and that all the other teams they were supposed to have a friendly match with are refusing. Every single team that Lee Hae-kol contacted refused. Kangin says this is all Park Sang-jong's doing. Kangin says, "There is no reason for other teams to avoid scrims with our new Dream Squad. The chance to practice with me alone would be an incentive, a chance for great practice too. But suddenly every single team I contacted is refusing to have a friendly match with us. It can only be explained by Park Sang-jong's dirty tricks." Kangin says Park Sang-jong is hoping that they will fall apart from lack of practice, and he is trying to crush before they even sprout. Kangin gets mad and says Park Sang-jong has crossed the line.